in Austin, Texas. But for the next 40 minutes or so, we're going to try and find out who will win, or we will find out who will be the victor in this Portuguese Grand Prix. Jose Mourinho, Portuguese football legend. The special one is here. He'll wave the checkered flag at the end of this 25 laps, but who will be the special one out on circuit this afternoon? It's the Tissot Grand Prix of Portugal coming your way. Enea Bastianini on pole position for just the second. Have been won by just two riders, Marquez Bagnaia and Fabio Quartararo. Bagnaia set himself up the perfect platform to a successful defence of the championship here 1 year ago. Grand Prix attendance of near 175,000. Look at this. 2024 is the best attended Portuguese Grand Prix ever here at the Algarve. 41% increase on last year. Thank you for making Motogp its biggest ever event in Portugal. Motogp, without any question, is back bigger, better, stronger and faster than ever in 2024. That's a brilliance, that, isn't it? To see that the Portuguese public have embraced this great sport. They are here to see if Miguel Oliveira can deliver something special from the fifth row of the grid. Marquez Bagnaia going for back-to-back victories here in Portimao to build some momentum in his early championship lead. 2 points is the gap. Almost perfect conditions here. Look, cloudy, 25 degrees ambient temperature, no wind around whatsoever. Almost the absolute ideal conditions to go Grand Prix motorcycle racing, which we will do, thankfully, in about 30 seconds time. Championship picture, early doors. Bagnaia has it by 2 points from Jorge Martin, who was his closest rival for much of last season. Brad Binder, after his double podium in Qatar, no points in the sprint yesterday after his crash, and starting to look rather menacing in that fourth place, creeping towards the top three already after his first Ducati podium yesterday in the sprint. It's Marc Marquez, best ever Tissot sprint win. Yesterday, Enea Bastianini made a right hash of this, didn't he? Activating, or deactivating inadvertently, his front hole shot device. Not a mistake he's likely to make again, Lewis.
Arriving very slowly to his grid slot this time. Rear right eye device now engaged. The beast is ready to go.
And we are ready to go, as I'm sure you are all watching around the world at home. Great to have your company once again here as we are set to go racing in Motogp here in Portugal. We've got the green flag that clears at the back. Bastianini, the beast, on pole position. It's lights out and we are racing in Motogp here in Portugal. And there Bastianini does make a strong start from pole position. He's made a much better start than yesterday. Martino's come fast from the second row. He goes into the early lead. Bagnaia up into third place. Bagnaia pushed back to fourth.
Yeah, Marquez also making progress. He was side by side with Acosta into turn number one and bumped the rookie wide. Marquez up into the top six already.
Yeah, you can see there Bagnaia was trying to put one on Viñales very early on. It's actually Viñales who's holding on to that third place there. Bagnaia is eager to get on with it, try and get to the front as soon as he can, just as he did in Qatar 2 weeks ago.
Martin then leads Bastianini slightly wide. Marc Marquez at the inside immediately of Jack Miller. Contact there between the two factory Ducatis, which opens the door for Marc Marquez.
That was really close, wasn't it, between the beast and Bagnaia. Marquez was briefly through. Bagnaia just trying to regroup it. And here comes a lunge from the 8-time world champion through the tight turn 8 over the blind crest. They go down the hill through the Craig Jones corner, turn 9. Bagnaia was able to get back on through. An early yellow flag in sector 2.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who it is who's dropped down the order. Bagnaia and Marc Marquez continue to go side by side. They need to keep an eye on what's going on ahead of them. It's Frankie Morbidelli who's having this Grand Prix on the first lap. We're down to just one Prima Ducati, but it's the one leading the race.
Well, Portimao's been a bit of a horror show, hasn't it, this year for Frankie Morbidelli. Pre-season he had a real nasty crash on a production Ducati, knocked himself clean out, missed the whole of winter testing as a result of the concussion that followed. He needed seat time badly, but Morbidelli out on the first lap. Been a right good early ding-dong, hasn't it, this between Marquez and Bagnaia, but what it's doing is playing into hands of Martin, Bastianini and Viñales ahead. Viñales now has taken second place, trying to go early on here with Martin, who over the line to complete the first lap. Was already over half a second clear.
There's a serious battle going on between a trio of KTMs at the back of the picture. Miller, Acosta and Binder are all battling it out for 6th, 7th and 8th. You can see them now just on the right-hand side of your picture. The rookie in between the two Red Bull factory KTMs.
It's just settled down ever so slightly as Acosta standing firm there on the inside of Binder. Just settled down, hasn't it, between Bagnaia and Marquez. They had a proper Early skirmish on the two Ducatis. Marquez on the bike, of course, that carried Bagnaia to back-to-back titles last year. Through turn 5 we go then for the second time of asking. Martin still holding that advantage comfortably around half a second. Morbidelli has been able to rejoin, at least maybe get some track time and some knowledge on that GP24 Ducati.
Yeah, the back of this train, Fabio Quartararo is still in that place. Alex Marquez has now gone down, so we've lost two of the Ducatis in the first couple of laps, although Morbidelli's rejoined at the back of the field. Alex Marquez down at turn number 5. That's not been a particularly lucky corner for the Marquez brothers this weekend.
It's been a miserable weekend all round for Marquez. Down he goes, losing the front through turn 5. Tricky downhill braking zones. You trail brake all the way to the apex there. Missed the top 10 in the sprint for the first time yesterday with Alex Marquez. Back with your race leader out of the first gear, turn 13. Powers the Prima Planet Ducati of Jorge Martin. He's established a lead here now of 3/4 of a second into this fourth sector on lap 2. Vinales at the moment has not got the early speed to go with the Martinator.
Little bit of a gap opening up behind Marc Marquez, and it looked through turn 14 as if Pedro Acosta was pretty keen to make his way through and be the leading KTM in this race. So we complete lap 2 of 25, a 39.0 for Jorge Martin. Fastest lap of the race, his lead 0.6 of a second over Maverick Vinales, as Acosta now has a look up the inside of Jack Miller, but he still remains in the middle of that trio of KTMs.
Bagnaia and Marquez are starting to get their hooks into Bastianini. Here comes Acosta. We thought about it. That was really close.
Cost him a place.
Yeah, he's going to run in hot there, and he's going to lose the place. Around the outside, speed Binder, the South African then says thank you very much. That was some aggression there from Acosta, trying to force the issue on the inside of Miller into turn 3. Didn't work out, did it? And now look, he's clambering all over the rear tire. What an onboard shot that is. Spectacular onboard action here as they drop down through turn 5. We're on board with Acosta, trying to find a way back through here on Binder.
Yeah, a bit of a lesson learned there for Pedro Acosta. It's no good just sending it up the inside for a half-hearted one unless you're absolutely certain you can make it stick. It cost him a place in the end. Rather than overtaking a factory KTM, he was overtaken by one. So Binder now up into 7th place ahead of Acosta. Marc Marquez looks like he's getting his claws into Bagnaia again. This trio of Ducatis up behind Vinales, who's starting to make some inroads on this lap into Jorge Martin.
As we've seen, Morbidelli and Alex Marquez both have remounted their crashed Ducatis, but they're obviously now at the back of the field, 21st and 22nd respectively. It's Joan Mir of the ones who hasn't taken a tumble, who's at the back of the field, so to speak. He's behind his reps on the teammate Luke Marini at the moment. Marini was in the 141s on that second lap, so not sure if there was some kind of early mistake by Mir. Now then, here's Bagnaia trying to force the issue, pick up some slipstream here as they come over the blind crest, trying to wrestle that front wheel on the ground as they now click top gear and approach 350 kilometers an hour on the factory Ducatis. Bagnaia not close enough though to attack Bastianini down the hill into turn 1.
Yeah, comfortably the fastest rider on that last lap was the sprint winner Maverick Vinales, a 1:31, a 39 for 1:58. He pulled 0.3 of a second back on Martin, cut his lead in half from 0.6 down to 0.3 of a second, and he's given himself a little. Marquez was 3/4 of a second when this lap began, so the KTMs, or certainly the two that are on their way forwards, know that they need to get on with it.
Strong pace being set at the front of this Grand Prix right now by Martin and Vinales, because Enea Bastianini in 3rd has just set his best lap of this Grand Prix so far, down to a 1:39.203, but it was still slower, not by much, but still slower significantly than the two riders who were directly ahead of him. Martin and Vinales split by just over 3/10 when we started this lap 5 of 25.
Pedro Acosta looks really aggressive and keen, doesn't he? Behind Brad Binder. I don't think Binder thought he'd be facing this particular problem so early in the season with the rookie all over the back of him. Now, of course, back in Qatar, Pedro Acosta was perhaps a little bit over-eager in the first half of the race, just took too much out of his tyres earlier on. Is he taking a little bit more of a cautious approach this time? He certainly doesn't look like it.
Yeah, he was heavy-handed on that rear tyre, wasn't he, in Qatar? He might get a bit heavy-handed. He's got some slipstream here. He's trying to find a way through. Binder's just that little bit sharper on the brakes going into the first corner, but Acosta keeping him more than nice, isn't he? The beast down into the 38s. He's now the fastest rider in this race. A 1:38.978 from Enea in 3rd place. That's why, as it stands right now, Bagnaia has just not been able to get within striking distance. He's been sort of 2 or 3 bike lengths or more away from Bastian. Just cannot close him in.
The gap between Martin and Bagnaia remains 0.3 of a second, although you can see it on your screens just how close they are together. So Bagnaia is 1.2 seconds off the lead and fractionally quicker than Marquez last time around. The two KTMs of Binder and Acosta both set personal best, once released from Jack Miller, who did a lap in the 140s, of course, having taken that trip through the runoff at turn number 1. He's now got the factory Yamahas up behind him. Quartararo and Rins, as they were on Friday, both inside the top 10.
This is a fascinating battle, isn't it, between the experienced head of Brad Binder and the exuberance of youth coming from the rookie Pedro Acosta. They're going to turn 13. That's where Binder went down yesterday in the sprint, costing the chance to grab some points in that 12-lap battle yesterday. This is where Acosta's been really, really good all weekend in this fourth sector. Second fastest lap in that sprint. We'll just watch the riders come over the line and we'll pop back down to Simon very, very shortly. There's Martin on the Prima Pama Ducati. He'll come over the line now to complete lap number 6. Vignales just inching ever close on the factory equivalent, with good reason why. That's his best lap of this Grand Prix so far, Vignales. Just visually you can see quickly from the helicopter
Here
drop.
comes Acosta.
He's getting closer. That's Pedro Acosta. Comes from a long way back and lunges on the inside of Brad Binder. Lead Pierre Mobility Group rider now in this Grand Prix is the rookie, already a 3-time winner here in Portimao in Moto 2 and in Moto 3. While it's gone quiet down in pit lane, let's go down to Simon for some thoughts.
Yeah, mainly I was worried about Pedro following so close behind Brad for so many laps. Marquez pointed out that after so many laps of doing that, he had to drop back, you know, give a half second to get front tyre temperature down and then come forward and attack again. I believe he's just done that. He's dropped back to, you know, last I looked at the screen, half second. I think he's getting some fresh air. That's Marc Marquez on his front tyre, and I'm glad to see Pedro get through before he got his front tyre too hot, which means either you have to slow down or fall off.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Simon. Top observations as always. So Acosta is inside the top 6. It's a good move he made there, wasn't it, on Brad Binder, who's one of the toughest, the most aggressive riders himself in the Motogp World Championship. Acosta's dropped Binder pretty rapidly here, and catching on this current lap. Too. I mean, Binder's nearly 0.7 of a second behind Acosta, but of course we have to factor in how much is Acosta overworking those Michelin tyres to get himself in the position, because this is very much a repeat scenario, Lewis, of Qatar. It just feels like deja vu from 2 weeks ago on the night lights and the sail, where Acosta was cavalier coming through the pack and then just ran out of grip, didn't he?
And to underline that point, he's immediately caught Marc Marquez. Look how quickly, as he sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at 1:38.9 and zooms past Marc Marquez for the second Grand Prix in a row. The rookie passes the 8-times world champion.
Oh, this is just unbelievable, isn't it, from the rookie? Absolutely incredible by Acosta. Let's just enjoy it while it lasts, because it might not last for too much longer after what we saw in Qatar a couple of weeks ago. But he was the youngest rider in Grand Prix history, in Premier Class history, to set the fastest lap a couple of weeks ago in Qatar. It could be 2-2, and now he goes full speedway style, almost lock to lock, going downhill into the bike. Look at Stefan Pierre there, the boss, the owner, the CEO of the Pierre Mobility Group. Massive smile, big grin, big laugh on his face. They know what a gem, what a diamond they've got on their hands. Absolutely brilliant, this by Acosta. Let's hope it does last a little bit longer than it did in Qatar. Simon, back to you.
I think he's going to be all right rear tyre-wise here. It's not the same problem as in Qatar. Like Binder was saying, you know, basically you've got some left at the race, even if at the end, as long as you don't totally abuse it. The main worry is front tyre, like David Tardozzi said on the start line, the later laps, and Pedro's given the front a hard time. It's not the rear that's the worry, I think.
The first rider he passed in his Grand Prix career in MotoGP in the sprint was Marc Marquez in Qatar. The first rider he passed in the main MotoGP race on Sunday night in Qatar was Marc Marquez. He's now picked up the 8-time champion. Once he has 3 races in a row now that he's had a proper dabble at Marquez and got through. Martin leads it by just over 0.2 of a second.
He's now in the 38.9 again, Pedro Acosta. He's catching the reigning world champion now. That's a battle we're yet to see. We've seen Marquez versus Acosta. Very shortly, we might be able to see Bagnaia versus Acosta.
What did we tell you in Qatar? Believe the hype. That's why there's been so much talk, so much focus on the 19-year-old on the 31 bike. He's got until the Sachsenring, hasn't he, to become the youngest ever Premier Class race winner, taking the record away from Marquez. He's getting the dashboard message right now, isn't he, Pecco Bagnaia, just informing of the situation.
31.
Yeah, the gap to Bastianini ahead is 1.1 seconds, and then he'll see, number 31, Acosta on the charge here, just as he was in Qatar. There's still a long, long way to go, we have to emphasise here in Portimao. 16 and a half laps for Acosta to get that RC16 to the finish line and nurse those tyres, but again, he's brought the fireworks to the party.
And we know from what we've seen already in the first Grand Prix and a half, Pedro Acosta does not care remotely about reputations. It doesn't matter whether you're an 8 times world champion, whether you're a reigning back-to-back Motogp world champion. Pedro Acosta sees a motorcycle in front of it, he's going to overtake it.
Well, he knew in Qatar he was going to have his tyres fall off a cliff, but he knew also as well that he's just going to go for it. The only way he's going to learn is by racing with the very best, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's going to be lining up very, very soon at a move.
Entertaining, never mind battling with a couple of riders who've got, 11 world championships between them, either side of him. Pedro Acosta's got 2 himself, so he's not exactly a spring chicken, but what a job he's doing in 5th place. And at this stage, still not even a half race distance yet, but Bagnaia just does not have the pace of the leading 3. A 1:39.3 for him last time around. He was at least 2 tenths slower than each of the 3 ahead of him.
It's been a good lap, this. Good 11th lap of 25 for Martin, as he's just eked that lead back up to over 4 tenths of a second. It was under 2 tenths at the start of this lap. It's in this 4th deck though where the pulley is really strong, with their really, really abundance of aero and the fact they've got so much stability through the high-speed corners. This is where Marquez Bagnaia will feel that front end is just planted. It's rock solid into the tarmac here, and you can see there he's much, much quicker through that final couple of corners than Jorge Martin. Nothing really between them in terms of lap times. 39.1 for Martin, 39.2 for Vinales. Here comes Acosta though, we're on board. He's on the inside of the double Motogp world champion. How has he stayed on board? Unbelievable. He's going full motocross here. He's running a 300 horsepower Motogp bike. He's treating it like a supermoto.
I'm very impressed, Pedro. I just wish he had a little bit more confidence. This is incredible, as he just shows no regard for the reputations that he's up against. Marquez and Bagnaia are watching Pedro Acosta throw everything at them. He was putting so much trust in the front end there. Somehow he stayed on board. Check this out.
Watch this. On the inside of the double Motogp world champion, Pecco Bagnaia. The KTM, the RC16 underneath Acosta was just moving around like he was on a fucking Bronco. They can't believe it, can they, inside the KTM goes. That is the great and the good, the senior hierarchy of Austrian manufacturing management. And they are being treated, as some show they're marvelling at the brilliance here of Acosta. I'm sure behind them, Marc Marquez must have a little grin under his helmet watching Acosta in this Grand Prix.
And just to put this in perspective, the other KTMs, in case of Brad Binder, he's 1.6 seconds back down the road from Acosta. Jack Miller is 3 seconds back down the road. There you can see them at the back of the screens. Pedro Acosta is the leading Pure Mobility Group bike in this race, and it ain't even close.
Can he sustain this pace though? That is the big question mark. We saw him fade quite significantly in the final third in Qatar. He's doing a rousing job though of keeping himself in contention, and now he's going to try and get some more slipstream and maybe line up another daring raid on the inside of Bagnaia. I don't think he's going to be close enough this time around. Bastianini once again finds a 1:38, a high 1:38, fastest lap of the Grand Prix for him, 1:38.939. Bastianini at the moment is the only rider on circuit that's able to keep himself in those 1:38s.
Yeah, while we're enjoying this 3-way battle between 3 of the titans of MotoGP, behind them, Brad Binder is in a rather lonely 7th at the moment, although to be fair, he was a couple of tenths quicker than this trio. Of course, as Acosta was trying to pass Bagnaia into turn 1, Binder did catch them slightly on the last lap. Miller is reversing back the other way. He's doing high 39s at the moment. There's a battle going on between Quartararo, Oliveira and Bezzecchi for 9th place. And Aleix Espargaro is now up to 12th, having set his personal best lap last time around.
Yeah, a bit of a humbling day so far for Aleix Espargaro. He's over 10 seconds behind Maverick Vinales, not really close to the top 10 at the moment as well. as the home fans have got a little bit to cheer about. Miguel Oliveira said pre-race he'd be very, very happy, satisfied with the top 10. That's exactly where he sits right now. This has been unreal though, hasn't it, from Pedro Acosta? Simon, you have to take your hat off to the teenage sensation from Spain, but how long can this last? You've got some more thoughts?
I absolutely love it. And like the speed of him we've known is always there. Like I said, I don't think the big fear is the rear tyre. The way he's using the front and the bike control, you know, he had to enter 1.5 to 2 meters tight going down into turn 1 to overtake Pecco, and then realised as he was in trouble he was going to run wide, but the bike control to get it not to run off the track, you know, losing the rear on the rear brake and still managed to lose very little is awesome, especially for when you consider his experience.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Simon. Awesome with a capital A as Bagnaia is picking up his pace here. He's just set the fastest lap of the race halfway through this 25-lap Grand Prix. 1:38.830 from Bagnaia. That's putting him about a quarter of a second and out of harm's way from Pedro Acosta.
Well, Jorge Martin stretched his pace out a little bit last time around. Vinales had a scruffy lap by his standards. Martin did a 38.9, and look at how much space he's put between himself and Vinales. Vinales lost 4/10 on the last lap. At the start of this lap, it was half a second. It's already up to 1 second now between Martin and the sprint winner from yesterday.
Yeah, on the previous lap, lap 13, as we mentioned, Acosta was nearly half a second quicker than Brad Binder. He was 7/10 faster than Jack Miller. He's showing the experienced old heads at KTM the way to go in this Grand Prix, that's for sure. Further back, we pick up Fabio Quartararo, 9th in the sprint yesterday, 9th in the running here in this Portuguese Grand Prix. He's got Miguel Oliveira behind him. Now our lone rep from Trackhouse Racing in this Grand Prix after Raul Fernandez's early exit. He said yesterday, Miguel Oliveira, he'd be really happy with the top 10. He felt like they made some changes to the bike, made him more confident with the front and the faster corners. And this would be pretty good afternoon's work by Miguel in front of his home crowd. Just there is Marco Bezzecchi, who was 3rd in this corresponding race here 1 year ago. His podium charge has just never materialised, has it, as we are back with Acosta looking directly ahead to Bagnaia. And this looks like a key phase of this Grand Prix because Martin has just started to drop the hammer, hasn't he? At 1:38.947 on lap 14, his best of the Grand Prix, and that's eats his advantage out for just over 3/4 of a second already in the first, but he's found another 10. This spells danger right now for Vinales and Bastianini.
Yeah, Vinales grouped slightly, back down to a low 39, but it still wasn't as quick as Martin up ahead of him. Bagnaia still doing low 39s. Acosta again also in the 1:38 to 38.944 for him. He was actually slightly quicker than Martin last time around. So Pedro Acosta showing no signs of fading back through the field as he did in Qatar.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it, what he's doing at the moment. Sandwiched in between two riders who've 8 Motogp World Championships between them. They've won 11 world titles, haven't they?
Yeah.
Bagnaia and Marc Marquez. I mean, of course we know he's no mug, he's no slouch, Pedro Acosta. He's already at the age of 19, a double world champion himself. That will be the live championship heading to round 3 in Austin, Texas in 3 weeks' time. It makes a very pretty reading for Jorge Martin, as we mentioned. When he's previously been at the summit of the Motogp World Championship, it's been a very short-lived affair. Pecco Bagnaia has got it all on here to stop Martin wrestling that World Championship lead away from him, and you have to say right now, with 10 and a bit more laps remaining, Martin looking fairly comfortable at the front of this Grand Prix. Seems to have Vinales and Bastianini quite easily covered at the moment. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix, that's 2 laps in a row now. A personal best lap, and now the best lap of the race. This is Martin making his attack. Now, 8/10 nearly clear of Vinales.
Yeah, Vinales responded with his own personal best. There was only 0.04 of a second between them. Personal best for each of the top 3 last time around. Bagnaia was also in the 38. Acosta was as close to being in the 38 without being. It was a 39.009. Personal best 2 for Marc Marquez last time around.
This is down into the first corner. A mistake from Pedro Acosta. He's going to be making a few, isn't he, now, as he tries to gain experience. Here he goes down into the first corner. Just seeing that reef, that's going to cost him a little bit of a crucial time. He's certainly been abusing that Michelin front tyre on the right-hand side, having the hard front, the distinctive yellow band. 10 laps remaining there. Jorge Martin looking comfortable at the front. How do you see this one playing out, Sam, as we move towards the business end of this Grand Prix?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, from my own experience, when I first experienced it with the best boys, I'm trying to see it from Pedro's point of view. When you feel them put the hammer down, when they know that they've got enough tyre, it's time to go, and you know, it's often 3 laps to go, it might be a little bit earlier.
In second place, again, just slightly quicker, and I mean slightly quicker by about 0.08 of a second compared to Martin on that previous lap. Martin's just able to sort of manage that gap around 6, 7, 8 tenths of a second. As we look at him come over turn 8, nearly 190 kilometres an hour, exiting. He goes through that jaw-dropping plummet through the Craig Jones corner, turn 9.
Aleix Espargaro back in 12th place. We'll be wondering just how different his weekend could have been had he been able to reach Q2 on Friday. He's very quickly zoomed up to the back of that three-way battle for 9th between Quartararo, Oliveira and Bezzecchi, but they are some 14 seconds off the race lead. Of course, watching his teammate up in second place, here he is, Maverick Vinales. This is certainly what the Aprilia is capable of if it can qualify, and Aleix Espargaro will go away from here, go away from both of the first 2 Grand Prix, feeling that he had way much more potential than he's ultimately been able to achieve at the checkered flag.
Alex Marquez crashed very early on, didn't he, at turn 5. He's called it quits on the Gresini Ducati GP23. Just further down the field, a shout out to Joan Mir on the Repsol. He just set his best lap of the race, a 1:39.573. Mir in the points in 15th place and trying to work his way towards Augusto Fernandez in 14th. There was Alex Marquez calling it a day after what's been a very frustrating weekend for the young Marquez sibling. No points at all on offer for the Formula Moto2 and Moto3 World Champion.
On board with Pedro Acosta once again. He's had one attempt to get through on Bagnaia. He knows he's going to have to be pretty much alongside him by the time they get to the braking zone to make a move stick from there. He had that attempt earlier on where he went wide. Not that Pedro Acosta's ever shy of sending one on the inside of Bagnaia, but he might well have learned his lesson from that first failed attempt.
Well, he's already claiming some big scalps in this Portuguese Grand Prix, and he wants another one, doesn't he? None other than the double MotoGP World Champion, who just cannot break away from Acosta's attention. And on the flip side of that coin is Acosta and Bagnaia have started to really gap Marquez, who's running out of rhythm late on here. Marquez now is over a second behind Pedro Acosta. Marquez at the moment on course for what's a lonely 6th place. As we just mentioned, he's over a second behind Acosta. He's got a real comfortable buffer then of about 1.9 seconds back to Brad Binder.
Yeah, top 3 remain in the 38. Fastest of the 3 last time around was Bastian. Bagnaia did in Qatar is just doing a wonderful job at the moment of managing that gap, just keeping Vinales at arm's length. He knows if he can keep that gap at around 7-8 tenths of a second, he's got this one under control. But we thought Bagnaia had the sprint under control yesterday and it all went wrong late on.
Never say never in MotoGP, that's the famous old slogan, isn't it? On board with Bagnaia. Now looking to the Italian from the onboard of the ultra impressive rookie Pedro Acosta. Now we're dropping down through turn 15. Feels like you're dropping off the face of a cliff here, doesn't it? The undulation is so sharp and so intense. Acosta's out wide there coming out that final corner. He's not going to be close enough once again to get through on Bagnaia. Bastianini still in the fight for the victory potentially. 1:38.793. That's impressive, isn't it? We talked about Vinales' prowess at managing his tyres. Well, that was always the strength of the beast, particularly in 2022 when he won those 4 Grand Prix to earn his seat alongside the man we're looking at ahead now, Pecco Bagnaia. A 1:38.793 from Bastianini. That's got him to within half a second now of Vinales in second.
Fortunately for Bastianini, Martin and Vinales are giving him no change at all. They're still in the 38s themselves, not really giving Bastianini much encouragement in that battle for the podium positions. Fabio Quartararo's finally starting to slip backwards. He's been holding on to that 9th place for so long. He's now been overtaken by both Miguel Oliveira and Marco Bezzecchi. Oliveira looking like he might salvage a top 10 in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall there for Quartararo, unfortunately. On that lap 19, he dropped back into the 140s, which is nowhere near good enough pace when you think the leads are doing 1:38.8s. Here is Bagnaia then. There can't be too many times in his Grand Prix career where he's had to work this hard for a 4th place, because he's been pushed all the way to the checkered flag, isn't he, by Acosta. You see there, Marquez trying to, in fact, I was just going to say, it looks like Marquez is just trying to reel in here Acosta and Bagnaia, and he certainly is. He came over the line to start this lap 21.1 seconds back. He's recovered 4/10 already on this lap 20. Marquez sensing there's still maybe another couple of places on the table for him.
Yeah, the reason that that's happened is Bagnaia crosses line. He's done a 39.2, 38.9 for Marquez. He has found some late pace. It's his personal best lap of the Grand Prix, as quick as the leaders on that last lap, the 93.
So this could get worse for Bagnaia and certainly better for Jorge Martin.
It's getting worse now.
Yeah, here comes Pedro Acosta on the inside, on the cutback. Bagnaia will really tough it out. Oh, he almost had his front wheel chopped there, didn't he, by Pedro Acosta. Coming through, Pecco, no problemo in Portimao for Pedro Acosta. He's up in the 4th place.
Extraordinary, isn't it? And he's already clearing off from the reigning world champion. Look at this move. He's tried into turn 1 and thought, okay, I'll try into turn number 3, and just stuffed up the inside, really, of the reigning world champion, who was trying that cutback, but unfortunately, there's a reigning Moto2 world champion in the way.
They can't quite believe that. Look, can they? That gas KTM box. We mentioned the diamond they've got. This could get worse. This is going to get worse for Bagnaia, because here comes Marquez, who's got some great late race speed here, hasn't he? Marquez has just obviously been waiting for a late push here, been nursing those tyres. Yeah, Pedro Acosta's just checked up, and here comes Marquez. It is going from bad to worse for Bagnaia, although Marquez was almost down there into the first gear, turn 13. What a battle this is raging late on here in Portimao. This is music to the ears of Pedro Acosta, because this little battle between Bagnaia and Marquez, you can see that Acosta has already completely blitzed away from Bagnaia. He's only a second clear of the Italian. Over the line we come, and Nea Bastianini has just set another best lap of this Grand Prix, a 1:38.685. That's stunning lake speed by the beast. Is it too little, too late? He's got 4 laps to go, and he's still 1.1 seconds behind Martin.
Bagnaia is in serious damage limitation mode now. He did a 1:40.394 last time around. He was the slowest rider in the top 11. He's really starting to struggle in these closing laps, when he was leading the sprint by the best part of a second with 4 laps to go yesterday. This is not the weekend I thought Bagnaia was going to have.
The start of this lap 22 was the closest Fabio Vinales has. He got the gap down to just over half a second. We'll follow Bagnaia and Marquez down the hill through turn 7. Simon, quickly back down to you.
Just about that move about Acosta coming through on Bagnaia. On the cutback, Bagnaia actually had a good place to fight, but the last time he did that, Maverick in Le Mans came in, they both crashed, and you could see Bagnaia recognise it and shut the throttle early, so they didn't connect.
Yeah, he didn't want lightning to strike twice. They did a good spot, Simon. Yeah, of course, that controversial incident where there was some afters in the gravel track, wasn't there, between Vinales and Bagnaia. Bagnaia desperately holding on here for 5th place, a 5th place that he lost after the brilliant move by Acosta. And now there's another move shaping up here, but Marquez has already had one close look on the previous lap at turn 13 before Marquez almost went down the road. That's now what? Let's have a look at Bastianini over the line.
He's really getting his claws into Vinales on this lap. It's 0.3 of a second now. The gap of 38.7 for Bastianini. He is right on the back of the yacht as Acosta sets his personal best lap with 3 to go.
1:38.824 from Acosta. There's been no time management woes for him this weekend, just as there was on that incredible debut in Qatar a couple of weeks ago. And now Bastianini here has clearly got race-winning pace, but he's got to find a way through quickly on Vinales if he's going to hunt down Martin. Just over 2.5 laps to go here in Portimao. Bagnaia with a proper rearguard defensive action here, which has been broken. Marquez goes in. Oh! And they've both gone down! Oh, unbelievable! Pecco Bagnaia was not going to give that one up without an almighty fight, and there is contact between what was the 63 and 93, the number 1 of Bagnaia and Marquez in the gravel at turn 5. A major talking point then right at the back end of this Portuguese Grand Prix.
We didn't have to wait long for fireworks, did we, between Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia. Bagnaia going for that very cutback that we were talking about earlier. Of course, he tried it on Acosta earlier on. The gap was there to try and slip back up the inside of Marquez. Marquez just didn't want to release the gap.
Major talking point, as we said, Simon. Simon, what are your initial impressions of what we've just seen there between Bagnaia and Marquez?
Oh, guys, I mean, you have to go for it if you're Bagnaia, you know, on the cutback, but just the impact took them both down. I don't know who to blame, really.
Well, he was at the centre, at the focal point of a major talking point in Portimao 1 year ago, wasn't he, Marc Marquez? And he'll be in the headlines once again after that tangle with double world champion Pekka Bagnaia. We saw both of them. Well, Marquez certainly remounted. That's pushed Brad Binder up into the top 5.
Here is Marc Marquez. It's a tricky corner, this, because it's a double apex left-hander. So it's very easy to take that late apex on the way out. Bagnaia well within his rights here to go back to the inside. And Marc Marquez is just trying to get himself back onto line, having gone up the inside and ran wide. It's very similar, that, to what we saw between Bagnaia and Viñales up along last year.
Guys, Marc was trying to close the door, so because he knew he'd gone wide, you know, and if he'd kind of stayed on line, they both would have made it through.
Well, we said that there was the potential for some tricky management situations looming on the horizon when Ducati
took 2 races.
Back at the front then, 1.5 to go here, and it looks like Jorge Martin still nearly 9/10 clear of Maverick Viñales in second place. Fair play to Viñales, because he's had to put up a proper defensive action here to keep Bastianini behind, because the late race speed of Bastianini has been super impressive, but it's all been too little too late, and he just has not been able to get through on Viñales. I suppose the big question mark, the big doubt for the beast would have been, had he got through Viñales, would he have had something late on for Martin? Bagnaia then limps back into pit lane. It's going to be fascinating to see how he picks the bones out of what we have just seen.
My temptation is to look at that as a racing instant. You're looking at 2 alpha males there, 2 world champions who just do not want to let the other go through. Marc Marquez was trying, as Simon said, to get himself back into line, having ran wide, going up the inside and ran wide. But Bagnaia spotted the opportunity and went up the inside, and the contact sent them both down to the final lap.
Oh,
and Viñales
can he believe his
down.
high side on the dirt? And that's going to put Pedro Acosta on the podium. Maverick Viñales ran wide in the first corner, and as he squeezed the power on, all the dirt and dust that was laid down on Thursday night after torrential rain, and he's crashed. What happened to him coming out of the final corner? Because
he's already got an issue there.
He's got a problem.
Does he think? He doesn't think that's the last lap like Aleix last year, because he's lost a lot of ground there. He goes wide into turn 1. Surely Maverick Viñales doesn't think the Grand Prix is over here, does he?
Surely he doesn't, and he spits him in the air. What late drama we've had here in Portimao. Incredible, absolutely unbelievable.
Wow.
You cannot believe, you couldn't script this, could you? It looked like it was all building up to a rather timid conclusion here with Jorge Martin running away. But what this means now is then Jorge Martin is going to win the Portuguese Grand Prix. He's 1.3 seconds clear of an Air Bastianini. But the late error by Maverick Viñales, was it a judgment call? Was it a technical issue with the Aprilia? Doesn't matter, because his mistake has put Pedro Acosta on the podium in just his second MotoGP start. Unbelievable drama here in Portimao. You could not make this up. You could write a book, couldn't you, just on the last 3 laps alone here in this Tissot Grand Prix of Portugal, which is being won by Prima Ducati star Jorge Martin. Oh, a special one has witnessed a special race here in Portugal. Jose Mourinho waves the checkered flag. It's a race win for Jorge Martin, and he is the world championship leader in MotoGP once again. And now Bastianini does take second place. Great job by the Italian from pole. And Pedro Acosta, the rookie sensation, after Maverick Viñales' late crash at the start of the final lap of the first corner, Acosta is on the podium in MotoGP for the very first time. All the late drama means Brad Binder takes 4th, Miller takes 5th, Bezzecchi gets promoted up to 6th place. There's a top 7 for Quartararo. Aleix Espargaro is 8th, Oliveira 9th in front of his home crowd, the Gian Antonio 10th. A face of thunder. What's going through the mind there of the world champion Pekka Bagnaia? Augusto Fernandez, Joan Mir, Alex Rins, Taka Nakagami and Joan Zarco collect points. So many talking points in that Grand Prix, but there was one rider that delivered a special performance. It was Jorge Martin, your race winner. Let's hear from the boss, Gino Borsoi.
Yeah, he's getting some vigorous hugs. Gino, please tell us what you think of Jorge's and your team's work today.
Well, we did a really incredible job. We know that the medium tire on rear was the key. For today, we were let's say, struggling yesterday with the soft, but the soft are, but so the setup was ready for today, not for the soft, because the big day is today at the point, much more today than yesterday. So now I'm happy because we were able to change our mind approach to the weekend, and so now I think we understand more how to approach the Sunday race.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Prima Pramac Racing and Jorge Martin. What on earth happened here late on to Maverick Vinales? He comes over the crest, look, at the end. Well, this was the start of the final lap.
Yeah, trying to read the body language on board the bike as to what's going on, because it was after he crossed the line to start the last lap that the issue started. He then goes off the road, and as you say, he's just on the dust and the dirt of the runoff area, obviously nowhere near as grippy as the racetrack itself, and the rear just pops him over the top.
Simon, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I mean, I don't know if you heard any issue with Vinales' bike as he came over the line, but what do you make of that?